أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد أرسلنا رسلنا بالبينات وأنزلنا معهم الكتاب والميزان ليقوم الناس بالقسط. صدق الله العظيم.
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام ميم. أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون ولقد فتنا الذين من قبلهم فليعلمن الله الذين صدقوا وليعلمن الكاذبين. صدق الله العظيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. This surah Al-Ankabut is most important and most profound surah of the Quran regarding a special subject. And that special subject is the persecution that comes to the Muslims and Mu'mineen at the hands of the disbelievers. They are tortured, they are persecuted, they are given all sorts of pains. In that condition, what the Muslims have to do? So this is actually to give you a historical background. This persecution from the unbelievers or disbelievers is absolutely natural and logical, because people were living and they were under a system, and there was no difference among them. They were worshipping their idols and so forth, everything, no conflict. Suddenly a person stood up and he said, it's all wrong. What you are worshipping? Wrong. False gods. You have gone astray. So there was naturally a reaction. Who are you to say this? We are following our forefathers. We were living in peace. We have started a conflict. So this was normal, natural, logical, inevitable. But there are two stages of this persecution which came to the Muslims at the hands of the disbelievers. For the first 3 years, the persecution was only verbal. No beating, no physical persecution, verbal. And it was wholly and solely focused on the person of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He has gone crazy. He is Majnoon. He has been possessed by some evil spirit. He is a poet. He is taking dictations from someone and then saying that this revelation has come to me from Allah. All such things were said to him. So the persecution was verbal and centered on the person of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why? Because if they could break his willpower, then there was no need of saying anything to anybody else. The whole movement would have died down. So they tried their best for 3 long years. But Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam persevered. And now they saw that his call is getting response from our society. And they were very much perturbed about two sections of the society. The youth, number one. Our youth is assembling around him. So it is going to be a very bad omen for our culture, our system. This is our hope of future, this youth. Who is Osman, radiyallahu anhu? A young man of the house of Umayyah. Who is Musab bin Umair? Who is Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas? Who is Ali? All this. So number one, their own youth, and number two, the slaves. The slaves were the oppressed people. A section of the society which was exploited like anything. They had no rights whatsoever. A master who owned a slave could kill him at any time, at his sweet will. He didn't have to answer to somebody. Right? Just if you have a goat, you can sacrifice it wherever you like. Eat its meat. She belongs to you, okay? And he is your servant or maid servant or his slave or the slave girl. You do anything, you can kill them. So when this section of the society was now rallying round Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for them it meant that the fire is now reaching the go down of the gunpowder. It can at any time explode. So now they started the physical persecution from the beginning of the 4th year after the coming of Wahi to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This persecution, this torture increased in its intensity every day, and it reached its climax in the 5th year after the beginning of Wahi. The youth were being beaten, they were tied in chains in the homes, kept hungry. The slaves were beaten like anything. What happened to Bilal, what happened to Khabbab al-Arat, what was happening to the slave girls, to Sumayya. She was tortured and killed and murdered. And her husband, Yasir, tortured and killed and murdered. And son, Ammar, he was only spared when he said something, accepting kufr by his mouth to save his life. But then, he repented much on it. So these were the conditions in which one of the Sahaba is Khabbab al-Arat radiyallahu ta'ala. He was a blacksmith by profession, but didn't have any support in the society. Not a slave, but a person who had no support, no help. So now to him, they subjected to the worst type of persecution. Fire was kindled, then the live coal was spread on the ground. He was called and said, take off your shirt. He took it off. Lie down on these cinders, burning cinders. So now the skin of the back got burnt, and then the fat in the back, it got melted, and with it the fire and this live coal was finished and cooled. So such was the persecution which was going on at that time. In this background, Khabbab al-Arat says, it's a hadith in the Sahih of Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, that I saw Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was sitting